Today I want to cover spinal segmentation, an exercise that I wish I started sooner or at least learnt about it, although not too soon because it's not ideal for people who have fresh disc herniations, and I had 3 of them. So you want to make sure you're out of the acute phase and released from rehab and have a really good strong hinge and core control before you start playing around with spinal segmentations. But if you are the kind of person that has been looking around the internet because you have a stiff lower back and you've been doing lots and lots of stability exercises like bird dogs, planks, glute bridges, and low back strengthening exercises like RDLs, good mornings, and deadlifts, and they're working for you, they're good, however your back is still a little bit stiff and you know that there's a bit more motion in there, then spinal segmentation is a great place to start, especially starting from the beginner's exercises, moving your way into advanced. So I want to go through a few variations today. As much as I love all the stability exercises, I think they're fantastic and they have their place, we don't really focus that much on movement or moving vertebrae by vertebrae that much, and that's, our spines do have that function. So if we don't train that function, obviously it's going to weaken, it's going to get stiffer, and we are going to end up really feeling uncomfortable after long periods of time not moving at all. So we want to start doing that gradually and safely, which is why cat-cows are a really nice place for a lot of people to start. But after that, we want to start working on each section separately and each vertebrae by vertebrae more and more over time, and these exercises can help you do that. All right, so a great place to start is cat-cows. It's just a warm-up. So we're going to have hands underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. So not too far forward, not too far back. We want the pelvis to be neutral and also the shoulders to be neutral. We don't want them up or, you know what I mean. Everything needs to stay neutral to begin with. So we're tucking our chin under and tucking our hips under. So we're going from the very base of the spine to the very top of the spine to completely tuck under. And then we're doing the opposite. So the neck and the hips. And of course, the middle of the spine will follow. And we're just going to go up and down a few times. You can think of also pushing the ground away with your hands, so your scapula come up, and really think of your pelvis. So as great as this is as a warm-up, our spine is moving as one big block. So the next step that we want to do is learn spinal segmentation. And from here, we're going to always start from one side of the spine, either the very bottom or the top. So let's start from the bottom. While keeping everything else neutral, we're going to just curl the spine down. And what I like to think of here is a snake or a slinky, because essentially you move one part and everything follows after that. So if you try to imagine a slinky, you're moving it down and just vertebrae by vertebrae, even if you might not fully achieve it straight away, you're following. So now we're completely looking up. We're now going to tuck from the bottom of the hips and follow with the spine. And you can practice this a few times, always leading from the bottom of the spine. And then you can go back to neutral and focus from the top. So tucking under. And then moving from the head first. So the great thing about this exercise is that you're not going to really be moving what you can't control because you simply wouldn't have built it yet. So the nice thing about it is you're going to slowly increase the amount of range and control that you have over weeks and months. So you're very unlikely to hurt yourself. If you do have a fresh disc herniation, you don't really want to be going into extensive flexion or extension. So in that case, you do have to wait to be released from rehab. But if you're like most other people with a stiff spine, this is a great place to start. Another thing I like doing is isolating the different areas of the spine in order to get better at this. One of the things I really struggled with was lumbar control. I had a little bit of segmentation control in the rest of my spine, but my lumbar was just not moving, and that's really common after a disc herniation, or 3 in my case. And then also lateral spinal segmentation, which is a lot easier, a lot more satisfying, and it will help loosen you up. So the next easiest exercise would be lateral spinal segmentation, and this is really nice and easy. Again, just think of a snake or a slinky because you're just moving with your hips and then your neck is following, but in the meantime, your spine is kind of spiraling. I wouldn't say spiraling. what would you put it, like kind of flailing behind your hips and following. So it's really nice and easy to do. You basically just have to think of your hips moving and allowing everything else to follow. After lateral spinal segmentation, I would then aim for lumbar isolation, spinal segmentation. That is really tough to do. I remember when I was first doing it, it was just so hard for my brain to compute what was happening. So the most important thing is that you get your locked in position right. So you just need to play around with where you put your elbows so that you're not in too much of a stretch, and play around with where you put your knees so you do still have some hip control, and always move from the hips and the spine will follow. After this, we've got our thoracic isolation, which I find is also really, really hard. It is such a mind game, but it is also a lot harder to sort of mess this up. You really don't have that much range of motion in this position. So once you lock your arms in, you really will realize where you can and cannot move, and over the weeks and months, that will increase as well. The step after this is to use a band to get some feedback, so some feeling, where you can feel exactly where you're supposed to push. And it might look with the band like you're using the band to pull you into positions, but that's not what's happening. You're basically using the band as something to feel so that you can control it, and the whole control is coming from your spine. So you're pushing into the band, and then slowly, as you're tugging the band and creating tension, you're actually resisting that tension and slowing the movement down when you go forward. So that's a way that you can, first of all, build more movement in specific segments that you realize are tight and not moving as much. So the second thing is it will create more strength gains, because you're going to, over the weeks and months, create more muscle tissue responsible for that movement by using the band.